everybody. My name is Darcy Marie Boles, and I am a remote first work consultant at Shift with Darcy Marie, which is my consulting firm. I have worked in the remote space for about 8 years globally, leading remote teams and global teams, and went out on my own this last year. And now I help companies codify the remote work policy and really understand how to help remote work for them, because there is no single blueprint for any company or culture. Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of do a gamut of things. I like to say that my full-time job is friendship, because really remote work is all about relationships and getting to know people and really what their intrinsic motivation, especially with CEOs, of why they started the company and what are the kind of people they want to attract remotely now that there is access to amazing talent all over the world from different backgrounds and cultures. So I do a few things, everything from a fractional head of remote partnership, where I'll come in for around 10 hours a week and really help do an audit to help identify where the gaps are to really help a company transition from kind of that office first mindset to a remote first mindset. It's a deep mindset and behavior change. I also facilitate workshops for teams, mostly people ops teams, to help them understand how to create connection without an office, as well as I do speaking events as well, and a little bit of founder coaching. So a lot of things. It's all listed on my website. It's good for both. And I'm a big proponent of creating a win-win working experience for everyone. And not only is remote good for companies because the access to talent is so broad, there's also the access to really helping people with disabilities, people who might not have access to working locations unless they move to a city, or maybe they're taking care of a sick family member. Now they can use their talents in a way that doesn't require them to be chained to a location. And again, in return, that company gets this incredible talent without having to sacrifice, just a small talent pool, and also keeping happier employees by creating just this beautiful partnership with, again, a win-win. The number one challenge, and you used an important word here, you said transition to remote. And I think there's a really big difference that I want to acknowledge between companies who started in an office or have offices and then decided they want to go remote. I think that's probably the biggest struggle I see with most founders and leadership teams, is they're operating from an office first mindset. Whereas if there's a company that has started remote first without any offices, they have to build it remote first. They can't default to in-person behavior because it doesn't exist. I actually see a lot of those companies be way more successful because they don't have to, there's nothing in their way. They just have a blue ocean space to build remotely. So really, I think the number one challenge in the transition that you mentioned and you asked the question is mindset and behavior shift. Well, I think that belief system is probably very true if the company isn't set up to work well remote first. And I think that that's a really important point to make. Like, of course, a lot of people might feel lonely or like they're not creating connections in an environment that went remote because of the pandemic. Their survival remote. They've just sort of had to ad hoc to keep the lights on. It's not designed for people to create connections. So I think that belief system is very true. And I think I'd also answer to that, if a company is designed, meetings are designed, the cadence, the rituals, the culture is designed to foster that cross-team collaboration, that asynchronous connection, regardless of location, regardless of time zone, then I see absolutely no problem. And I frankly have designed a company for 4 years of 300 people that didn't have an office, that I was more connected to my coworkers than I'd ever been in an office. So again, it comes down to that design process, and is the culture and the operating rhythm set up to foster that? I think a culture is going to be in alignment with the founders and leadership values. And I'm not going to fight any company that says they don't want to go remote first. That's fine. You won't have as much access to talent. Some of you might have a lot of employees leave. People will self-select out. Are you okay with that? Be okay with that. But I really think the number one thing is make the decision. I think we're really in this space right now where indecision is very expensive, both emotionally and financially for employees and for your business. And so it's really coming down to leadership teams saying, who were we before the pandemic? Who are we now, and who do we want to be? Codifying that, really understanding where employees stand. And again, your people have all the answers. And so ask your people. And being in alignment with that and operating in alignment with those decisions. This wishy-washy, you can come in whenever, all this stuff without swim lanes, it's not serving anyone. And so I think it's really important to say, look, I will never be somebody personally who will work in an office. I will never work in a remote first environment. It doesn't work for me. I know that about myself. It took me 4 years to find that out about myself. So we're going through this self-discovery process, both for companies and individuals right now, to decide how and when people want to work. And I think over the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a lot more alignment in those two decision-making processes to create a much better culture match to get more from the employee and more from the employer. Before I'd say ask anything from your company, I'd offer to ask yourself a lot of questions. I'd offer for you to start challenging yourself to say, okay, I have a 3-hour, maybe you have a 3-hour break on your calendar in the middle of the day. How does it feel in your body if you say maybe you'll go on a 2-hour walk? Is that scary to you? Do you feel like you need to be tied to your computer? Like can you start managing your energy? Can you start asking yourself when you're getting really good deep work done and start putting those blocks on your calendar? Start to figure out your own cadence, because then you can start to ask the employer for what you need, if possible, once you know what you need. I don't think it will serve you as well to just assume that the employer might give you certain things. You have to understand, okay, I have this job, how am I going to be able to show up as my best, do my absolute best work, feel engaged and have meaning in my work? What does that mean for you? And what is it that you need? And so again, it's a deep self-discovery process. You might decide that this company might not match that. That's okay. Can you get some piece that matches that? Can you get some that doesn't? Can you start exploring? So again, this matching process, there's a self-discovery session happening on both accounts. And I think that that's really important to know.